I'll show you how to make a 3D line of sight map for planning Meshtastic or Mesh Core repeater locations using free tools. So we're going to be using old school Google Earth on your desktop and an ancient website called HeyWhatsThat for line of sight analysis. To demonstrate, we're going to be looking at Philmont Scout Ranch, which is this awesome 140,000 acre ranch owned by Scouting America. I've got a lot of fond memories hiking in the backcountry in New Mexico at Philmont. To demonstrate this workflow, we're going to pretend that we need to connect base camp down here to Beaubien Camp, which is a horse ranch up in the backcountry, completely disconnected from the world. And you can see there's a lot of mountains here. So the thing with Meshtastic and Mesh Core is they both need line of sight. So because this is up in the mountains, we need to figure out what's the best location for a repeater in order to create a hop between base camp and Beaubien. And so this is the same exact analysis you should be performing anytime you're trying to deploy a repeater for yourself. Now, a lot of people will jump right to using something like HeyWhatsThat. I'm going to dive into more detail on exactly how this website works. It looks super old and weird and sketchy. The UI is terrible. There's ads everywhere, but it's a really awesome website. I'm going to dive into more detail here. The problem with starting here is, to me, you have no instinctual visualization of the terrain and elevation. You're looking at a top-down map. You're not looking at any 3D information. So what I like to do is start with Google Earth. Now, you can use the browser version. The graphics are a little bit better, but you have some additional features in the desktop version that I recommend for this use case. So what you need to search for is Google Earth Pro, and you can download it and install it. I don't need to walk you through that. When you open it for the first time, it's probably going to be zoomed out like this. You can just type in an address or search for something. So I could search for Philmont Scout Ranch, and it's going to zoom in for us to exactly where we want to be working. So the first thing I like to do is just draw a line between the 2 points that we're trying to connect. So we'll come up here, grab the ruler, we'll select the line tool, and I'm just going to draw a line. So you're going to click once, and we'll zoom in here to Beaubien, and we'll click again. We're going to save that just so we have a clear reference as we're orbiting around and kind of looking around of the 2 points that we're working with here. Now, quick navigation, middle mouse button, click and drag will let you rotate the view, and the left mouse button will let you pan around. So using those two navigation tools is really all you need. The scroll wheel will zoom in and out. The middle mouse button holding down while you're moving the mouse around will orbit and allow you to tilt up and down. So this is why I like working in Google Earth. You immediately just instinctually can start to identify different opportunities here. So, you might, looking at a 2D map, might think, oh, maybe Black Mountain would be a good point because it looks like it's the highest point next to Beaubien. But right here, we can immediately identify that we have this long range, mountain range, that pretty much blocks our line of sight to base camp. So that immediately is going to take it off the list for something I want to analyze. So we'll zoom out a little bit, and just kind of moving around, I would look at maybe Trail Peak as the first place I want to look at to maybe install a repeater. So I'm visualizing having a direct line of sight to here and then to Beaubien Camp right here. So any place you see a marker like this or a pin, you can actually right click it and show view shed. So this is a built-in feature right in Google Earth. So this is just saying that the point is too low, and it's just going to move it up automatically in order to calculate, an actual usable view shed. And one thing to keep in mind, if you have 3D trees and buildings turned on, the view shed will be blocked by those things. So it can be cool in some situations, but I recommend turning it off in most situations in order to get kind of a usable visualization. So let me explain what we're looking at here. So all of this part of the map that's painted green is basically parts of this terrain that you can visually see if you're standing right at this point where we cast that view shed from. So you can see there are a lot of valleys that just don't have that visualization. You know, something's blocking that view. But then anything green, see if we come down at this angle, you can kind of see, you know, anything at this angle is painted green, but when you come up, you can see all of those valleys beyond. So Meshtastic and Mesh Core both need line of sight in order to work. They're not like bouncing off the atmosphere or whatever. So that's why this sort of visualization is really helpful. Now, one thing I immediately notice is this view shed is basically blank all behind this point. We're not getting like a 360-degree view shed, and that's because this marker right here actually isn't on the peak. We can see it's like a little bit below the peak. So let me show you how to manually place a pin that you can control exactly where it goes. So you're going to use this little icon right here, new place marker, and it drops it on the map. You can grab it and drag it wherever you want. It's usually helpful to click the middle mouse button and push your mouse forward to kind of get a top-down view in order to place it exactly where you want, and then you can kind of come back down and make sure you've got it, you know, placed right where you want. Now, the other important thing is the altitude. You can set the actual altitude. So by default, it's clamped to the ground. We want to set it to relative to ground. So we'll pretend this is going to be on a tower. So we'll say like 5 meters above the ground, and we'll click OK. And now when we right click and show view shed, it'll calculate based off of that. And now we have a little bit more of a 360-degree view shed being right on that peak. Now, one of the limitations with the built-in view shed is it's limited. We have 8 miles of distance with our line here. So it looks like there's a limit to the radius of, you know, maybe 5 miles or something like that. So I'll show you how to import a view shed from HeyWhatsThat in a little bit. But this is still really valuable for initial analysis, because our objective is to get Bobby in here. So looking at the line of sight from that ridge, we're still missing a lot of Bobby in, you know, the main meadow. There's a cabin right here, and then this, I think, is where the horse barn is. So I'd really like to try to get a little bit more coverage here, but we might have to put another repeater on this side of the ridge in order to hop a second time to kind of get better coverage here. So let's take a look at this side of the ridge, and we can kind of just orbit around. And here, I'm going to exit this view shed real quick just to visually, I'm literally just visually looking at base camp here, and then I'm just bringing my my perspective down, and see I can just tell that this mountain is blocking that view. So let's go out a little bit further. Maybe Lookout Peak might be an option, and we might actually, no, it looks like we get blocked just a little bit there. So let's go out a little bit further to Lookout Meadow, or how about this, Rayado Peak. So this is a little bit higher, and we do have line of sight to base camp. So let's go ahead and check out Rayado Peak, but this time, instead of using the view shed in Google Earth, I'm going to show you how to create this view shed in the HeyWhatsThat website, and I'm going to show you how to import this view shed into Google Earth, because it's a much bigger range. The line of sight just goes on pretty much, you know, until it hits the curvature of the Earth. Okay, so to get this set up, you're going to go to the very top of the page. It's literally HeyWhatsThat.com. It's riddled with ads. It's super annoying, but it's worth it. So click on New Panorama tab right here, and work your way through this awful UI. So you can either search for an address here, you can put in longitude or latitude, you can hold down the control key to zoom in and out of the map, and you can even just click somewhere on the map to, you know, figure out exactly where you want it. Now, one thing that you might find helpful is turning on contours. You can turn on satellite view. Can't really see the contours in satellite view, but I'm gonna type in Rayado Peak, and see if it can find it, which it can. And another helpful feature is you can move the marker to the highest point within a certain number of feet. So we want to be on the highest part of this peak. So we'll go ahead and click move, and it tweaks it a little bit so it's right there at the peak to give us the best 360 view. We'll set the elevation. We'll just go 30 feet, type in a title, click submit request. It takes a couple minutes for it to run. You'll probably see some more ads as that runs. When it's ready to go, you're going to click this tab right here, and there's a number of things to look at. This looks kind of overwhelming. We'll come back to that in a second. We're going to scroll down to the map. So everything in red is what can be seen, and what's kind of cool is it shows you all of the peaks that can be seen within within view of the point that you measured from. And if you click on one of those points, so we'll click, Bear Mountain. If you scroll up here, there's an elevation chart that shows the line of sight and any potential obstructions along the way. So you can actually click anywhere on this map to view the elevation profile and see where the obstructions are. And if you click anywhere here, it will actually show you where that is on the map itself. So there's this little marker here. So there's a lot of different tools here to kind of find the different points that you're looking at on the map. You can click any one of these peaks. So these are all peaks that are within range of that high point. So that could be helpful as well. Shows you the distance and elevation. And then this map up here is really like if you were standing on that point that we measured from, what would the mountains, what would the landscape look like? So this is actually a 360-degree plot of the view from that point. We can see north, east, southwest. All of these red markers correspond to the same red markers that we see down here. So I'm just going to recenter the map here. So right here we have Trail Peak. If we scroll up, here's the marker. So this is Trail Peak right here. So this is just a really awesome tool just to kind of see what your view shed is. It's a lot more detailed. It goes out a lot further. Now, what's really cool is you can import this into Google Earth. So you just click this button right here, View in Google Earth. It'll download a KMZ file. You can literally drag it right into Google Earth, and you have your view shed right in Google Earth. You can see it goes out a lot farther than the default view shed in Google Earth. And so if we look back at our scenario, here's base camp. We got this perfect line of sight covering all of base camp. And if we go to our target area, we do catch the main cabin, which I believe is right here. I would like to, typically I would have liked to kind of get this whole meadow area and the horse barn too. So, you might end up deciding to install another repeater maybe over here somewhere, or you might want to, change it back to planning on putting something at Trail Peak and then kind of analyzing, how things look on this side of the ridge and kind of go from there. But I just love the combination of using Google Earth with HeyWhatsThat. I find it so much more intuitive to work this way when doing site planning. So I hope you found this video helpful. I'll have links down below for the Google Earth, the download for the desktop version, and the link to HeyWhatsThat. Now, if you're looking to set up a repeater for your mesh network, you can go to atlevox.com and check out our Atlevox beacon. It's a rack WizBlock based repeater. It works with Meshtastic or Mesh Core. So I'll link it down below. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.